Good afternoon, everyone. Today I would like to talk about the 141-year-old cold weather record that was broken in Jacksonville, Florida. It's the coolest they've had since 1873, as well as manatees are on the move. The water was too cold around Florida for them in Tampa, Florida, so they swam all the way to Houston, Texas in search of warmer water, but what they found were 140 turtles stunned on the South Texas beaches from cold. It does appear that we keep busting through this 120 to 140 year temperature record anomaly this year, as was forecast would happen if we were going into a solar minimum and a cooling trend. On the top of the list these last few days, Jacksonville, Florida, their record broken from 1873. You can see the way the vortex swings down all the way into Florida. This is a fruit growing area. Of course, they're going to lose a lot of their crop from this. It was a prolonged freeze for several days. So look for the prices of oranges and strawberries both to increase from this. Now this is Florida, but when you have this many alerts out for freeze warnings, chill warnings, you know something's unusual. And it wasn't just exclusively Florida. The entire southeast United States was recording different types of anomalous cold records, breaking through all the way down to New Orleans. This one's from NOAA. This is the exact temperature records that were broken. As you can see, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. These are not typically cold weather states. And with all the cold temperatures descending into the southern areas of the United States, animals would be affected. And here's a story for you. Manatee decided that the water was too cold in Tampa, Florida. Swam all the way to Houston, Texas. That's hundreds and hundreds of miles to escape the cold. But when it arrived, the water was too cold there. In addition, what was on the beaches were 140 turtles that were stunned from the cold. They were just literally too cold for the blood to circulate. They also had to be rescued on the beaches in South Texas. That's right near the Mexican border. So myself, I thought instantly, wow, let me jump over and check out the sea surface temperatures and see if there's anything below normal. And look where Florida is. As you can see, it's between 4 and 8 degrees Celsius below normal. And a tiny bit more digging, and I found a few PDFs that did a temperature reconstruction of the sea surface temperatures from 1790 to 1820. If we are going to match up with these cooler temperatures going back 100 or 200 years, bicentennial cooling if it is a 200-year event. Notice on the left, down into Florida, there was cooling at that time. Here's a crop out. You can take a little bit closer look in there. Notice how the temperatures across the Gulf Stream in there throughout the Gulf of Mexico, out on the eastern edge of Florida going up toward North Carolina, also cooler. But here's the very interesting thing. Look how that matches up so perfectly with yesterday's sea surface marine modeling from the National Climate Data Center. Also in that same PDF, it was talking about the changes in the cold air outbreak temperatures in the northeast United States from the settlers living up there. Cold anomaly was measured 1790 to 1820. This is the mark. What we're going to be looking for specifically in this area right here, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, would be extremely cold temperatures, 18 Celsius, 20 Celsius below zero coming up in January if we are going to follow the same cooling pattern as 200 years ago. And as fate would have it, winter storm warnings all up and down that area for more than 30 centimeters or 1 foot of snow. New Hampshire had a severe power knockout to 16,000 persons up there, homes if you will. The Dalton minimum and the Maunder minimum were a period where our sun went into a cool phase with lack of sunspots and decreased sunspot activity. And the new minimum, according to another calculation that just recently came out, puts the new bottom of the cooling at 2042, about 7 years later than my original forecast had been for at 2035. But it is plus or minus 11 years. The sun's going to decrease in sunspot count over the next couple of solar cycles, which should usher in something like the 1600s cooling period, the 1800s cooling period, or if we go further back in time, there was a cooling event in the 1480s as well as a smaller cooling event around 1300. Notice how they're very evenly spaced. It's a cycle. Maybe that's what a lot of ancient calendars were predicting. It's a cycle that keeps coming back, and they could track that. Perhaps they had this already mapped out, and that's why there were so many things left in stone for our modern generation to figure out. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video that can help you to see where we are going in the future.